XC supply chain attack is a watershed moment that illustrates a fear everyone who's worked in security and is concerned about supply chain attacks has come to fruition. There hasn't been many public instances of a successfully conducted supply chain attack by likely a nation-state threat group, but this is certainly one of them. What used to be a theoretical concern is now practical. The timeline of this attack was quite impressive. It started out kind of an innocuous offer of help. The maintainer of an arbitrary open source library that focuses on data compression was wildly successful in getting this library adopted and used by a variety of different open source projects. It became a critical part of the internet fabric at large. So many other projects were dependent upon it, including OpenSSH. And OpenSSH is kind of the de facto open source project used to communicate securely with Linux-based and Unix-based systems across the planet. Anyone who is trying to maintain any non-Windows system likely is using OpenSSH for their secure communication because it's been around for so long, it's been hardened for so long, and it's widely referred to as the secure mechanism for communication and management. A nation state try to break into or compromise a secure communication channel like OpenSSH, which is almost ubiquitous across the planet. Normally they would go after the OpenSSH codebase, but it's been so hardened that it's no longer possible to do that. And so now they're looking at what are all the libraries OpenSSH depends on, and this is one of them, XC compression. While the author of this library was wildly successful, he wasn't getting a lot of help or sponsorship from all these different companies and entities that were using this library for free. It's kind of a tragedy. And because there wasn't other people willing to step up and maintain the code, that represented an opportunity for a nation-state threat group to come in, pretend to be a helpful contributor to the code, and pressure this single developer, this single maintainer into relinquishing control of the project to other contributors under the guise of being helpful. And it happened in the course of a couple of months. The new contributor proceeded to make some innocuous commits to the library and then eventually commit malicious code to this library. Once this code got baked into new versions of OpenSSH, and those new versions of OpenSSH are then baked into all of the different distributions of Linux, would allow the nation-state threat actor to compromise any Linux or Unix-based system running that vulnerable version of OpenSSH. And it was remote code execution. They didn't need access to anything else in the system. They could easily get skeleton keys to arguably 60%, 70% of the world's internet-facing Linux, Unix systems. That's huge. This was uncovered not because someone was looking for or defending against this particular threat. It was because the nation-state threat actor that made these code changes, as stealthy as they were, made some mistakes. The code commit that they made was triggering bugs. And another downstream maintainer of a Linux distribution saw that this new version of this library was causing bugs, and that's what triggered them to do an investigation of, well, why is this thing causing bugs? It worked before. When they started to do an analysis of what the root cause was, they uncovered this whole nefarious scheme that was orchestrated over the course of months. This represents a jaw-dropping moment of, oh my God, we've all thought about this happening, but someone actually did it. Someone actually pulled this off. It calls into question, if it was so easy for this one attack to happen, what other open source projects are also sabotaged in the exact same way? We got lucky here. This could have been horribly, horribly bad, but are we really that naive to think that A, this is the only one that's taken place, and B, where else is it, and C, how long has it been around for? A lot more eyes are being drawn into critical open source libraries that have massive impact across the internet. So this might be a watershed moment in discovering other evidence of supply chain compromises in the future. We don't know, but a lot of people are holding their breath. Is this one-off black swan event, or is this the start of a whole new realm of attacks that we thought were theoretical but are now actually practical?